Of course, we're back for another episode. Did you really think I was going to leave you hanging high and dry? So, we're going to talk about stacking the deck in your favor. You've probably heard that term before. Again, my process is I hear a term, a saying, a thought process, a philosophy, and I want to apply it to fitness. And another philosophy is there's layers to things. There's layers to health. There's layers to fitness. So I want to add layers to stacking the deck, specifically to crush your fitness goals. Every single person is going to have different goals. Every single person is going to have different strategies to get to these said goals. But there's a very basic formula that most of us need to do for the fitness goals. Sleep good, eat solid, and lift solid, right? You nail those pillars, and again, I've talked about this probably over 300 times because I got over 300 episodes. You're almost guaranteed success. It's very rare that if you were to show me somebody who's eating really, really well, again, your definition of really, really well might be different than mine, but let's just say hitting their protein, hitting their fiber, mostly whole natural foods. They're sleeping really well. You might say 7 to 9 hours. I'm going to say 8 to 9 hours of sleep. And lifting solid. Adding progressive overload, getting to the gym 3 times a week, lifting moderate to heavy weights regularly, following good structured programming. If they do that consistently, not just one time, but let's say for months or even a year, you will crush your fitness goal. It's guaranteed. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. However, all of those things are easier said than done. Yeah, you just got to sleep more. Yeah, you just got to eat better. Yeah, you just got to work out better. So doing those things is stacking the deck in your favor. That's like layer one, right? But now we can start to break it down to, well, how can you foster a better environment to sleep, eat, and lift better? How can you have a better plan and a better routine? So maybe automation or scheduling. And then how can you have better accountability? And all of those things are different layers that are going to get you even more stacked into your stacking your deck. And then the last is more of a identity shift. So most people, they're trying to muscle their way to their fitness goal, pun intended. You rely on sheer willpower, waking up at 5 a.m., you resist the office donuts, and you drag yourself through the squat rack. Willpower really only works for a few days, a few weeks. Eventually, that motivation fades, exhaustion sets in, and you slide right back into your old habits. If you do want to build a more resilient, athletic body, you do need a new strategy. It's time to stack the deck in your favor. Stacking the deck means manipulating your life design, your lifestyle, so that making the right choices is easier, if not effortless, if not automatic. It's a system. You remove friction between you and your goals, and success becomes easier, becomes inevitable. So again, we're going to break down how to stack the deck in your favor. So environment. Really cool analogy here. If you want to change a bacteria, you don't go in and change the bacteria, you change the environment the bacteria is in. Your environment is extremely important, and there's so many things around your environment. Who are the people you're around? You're a sum total of the 5 people you hang out with the most. Your environment can be your work environment. It can be your house environment. It can be the gym environment. Think of a messy house, which, yes, is ironic coming from me because I'm a messy person. You'll have a very different outcome, attitude, and energy than someone who's very neat and organized. I'll make the argument I'm actually organized in my own particular way, but maybe that's being said by any messy person. But in reality, I like an open space on the floor so that I can go down and exercise or do my 90-90s or do any other mobility drills while watching TV, right? That would be an easy example of environment design. Another way I've designed my environment, specifically around sleep, is my room is blackout to the best of my ability, right? I really only hang out in my room also when I'm trying to sleep. And it's a sleep sanctuary. We got blackout curtains. I try to keep the room coolish. trying to have my white noise, and then I even have like a sleep mask for any residual light. And yeah, that alone. Now, this is something I know I need to go back into, but putting my phone further away from the bed while it's charging, it prevents me from doom scrolling, which I can still get caught up to at night, but significantly less than what I used to. Another way to have environmental design is your kitchen. And also, what do you put in your kitchen? What's in your fridge? It's really hard to have impulsive junk food craving and caving in when you don't have that stuff in the house. If there's a bag of chips in the house, I'm eating it almost immediately. So I just don't buy it, right? You go through your pantry and you keep the staples, but you don't necessarily need to have the items that aren't going to get you to your goal. Same thing in the fridge, same thing in the freezer. And you keep it well stocked with food so you don't ever open it up and be like, oh, there's nothing to eat. Guess I'm going to order a pizza. And so these highly processed snacks, they can slowly chip away and derail your progress. Stock your fridge with lean proteins, fresh veggies, single ingredient foods, or minimal ingredient foods. And then when you open the fridge, it's easy options to eat because they're all healthy options. You can pick whatever you want. And then the other thing you can do, who still has a fruit bowl out? That's a very important aspect. If you want to eat more fruit, you have it available. I know that would work on me. I have frozen fruits and veggies always in the freezer when available. So then that way I can just dip in and get what I need to get as soon as possible. I almost always would have Greek yogurt in the fridge. I almost always have at least some kind of ground meat in the fridge for just quick, easy meals. I almost always have eggs. Those are the types of things I almost always keep in the fridge. And if you want to stop skipping your morning workouts, lay your gym clothes out the night before. Right? That's an easy one. Most people would think about that. Put your shoes that you need to wear beside the bed, or have all of your gym stuff and your gym bag packed and ready the night before. Have it right beside the door. Right? Again, if you have your alarm set outside of just your bed, you can't just pick it up, turn it off, and go back to bed. You got to physically get out of bed. By the time your brain is realizing what's happening, you're already up and out of bed and you're getting ready to do your training routine. So again, this is the environment design. I want you to now think of something that you can change in your environment that might be more optimal. This is actually a really, really good one. This has to do with sleep. You probably shouldn't have a TV in your bedroom. I will never have that TV in my bedroom. That's a non-negotiable for me. It's something I always wanted as a kid. In university, I did it, and then a couple of years, I'm like, fuck, I'm not sleeping. This is not ideal. And then the second I changed that, things changed. Once you've fixed your environment, we can also remove decision fatigue. The fewer choices you need to make throughout the day, the more energy you have to execute your plan. And decision fatigue is a real thing. So a lot of people have a alarm to wake up, but they don't have a wind down alarm. You probably should have something that's reoccurring alarm maybe an hour before bed or half hour before bed. It rings, you turn off the TV, you dim the lights, you start your wind down routine, you read a book, you stretch, you journal, you prep for the next day, and that signals to your brain it's time to shut down. And that way you don't get caught up and be like, oh fuck, I should have gone to bed a half hour ago. I'm actually sometimes itching to get ready to bed. I'm like, oh, it's 8. I shouldn't go to bed too early. I want to sleep, but then I'm going to get up too early. But if I go to bed at 9, then that's perfect. And I know it always takes me a little bit. And yeah, I'm a sleep diva. I like to sleep now. It's good for me. I feel much better the next day. And I look forward to my mornings. My mornings don't suck. So having a wind down routine is key. And then automate your nutrition. So stop deciding what you should eat for lunch or dinner in that point in time, and dedicate a couple hours to either prepping and planning your meals. Meal prep doesn't have to look like you're just batch cooking, but grocery shopping and having a list for your grocery shopping is a part of meal prep and planning, right? Cooking a massive batch of chicken, roasted veggies, and a large pot of rice. That's a great way to make a couple meals for throughout the week. what my mom loves to do is get a rotisserie chicken every time she goes to the grocery store, I swear. And then they just have easy access chicken that they can just kind of pick apart, and then they just use the bones for soup. But it makes sense. It's really not that much more expensive. If sometimes it's cheaper than like the regular whole chicken, right? Those rotisserie chickens. So you just have something easy to portion out and utilize for the week, right? And that's an easy macro-friendly meal that takes 2 minutes in the microwave. And then scheduling your lifts. It's very important that you put your workouts in your schedule. You probably don't. I still have to put them in because I have to look at, well, when am I working out with clients? When am I doing my own workout? When am I doing other life sort of things? And so your schedule is going to dictate of what you do. And you don't just miss a meeting with your boss because you don't feel like it. You do it. And I've mentioned this before, my one client really liked it. Your scheduled lifts with yourself are just like meeting with a boss. It's very important that we do keep it intact, on time, and ready to go. The last major layer would be accountability of a layer. And you can see why there's different layers to this. The more nuance you get, the deeper you may need to go. And depending on you, you might want to get all the way down to that third layer if you can't do it on your own on the first layer or the second layer and you're just looking for more. And accountability is very important. Humans are social creatures. We are deeply connected to one another. And you can use a psychological trick to stack the deck even higher. Hiring a trainer gives you almost an 80% success rate of at least sticking with your fitness goals for like a year. I'm partially pulling that number out of my ass, but you believed it was true, and it actually would be true, I would say so, at least in my experience. Hiring a personal trainer gives you a financial stake in your success. If this fails, I've now wasted thousands of dollars. You're also infinitely more likely to actually hold yourself accountable because you know that you've spent money in it. It's like a sunken fallacy almost. Versus if you're like, oh yeah, I'll just eat better, and then you don't. Well, you don't have any skin in the game. And so the other aspect of hiring a coach is it removes almost all the guesswork for your programming, possibly your nutrition. We're here to remind you of all these different layers and ideas and work through problems and problem solve with you, and we're there the step of the way. When you know that somebody is waiting for you at the gym, and if you don't show up, you're going to lose 50, 60, 80 bucks, you get your ass to the gym. And as crazy as it sounds, that's probably the most important part of my job, is keeping people accountable. Finding a training partner, finding someone who is maybe a little bit more advanced than you, and you ask them to train with them. They're maybe at a different stage, but you can look at them as a mentor. Maybe somebody who's too advanced, you're going to be intimidated, and they might give you too much bad advice. But someone who's just at the next level or layer, the only problem is you don't have that financial commitment, and they're not a professional. But it is obviously budget friendly, but that's why making friends with trainers are great. I'm more than happy to help my friends, but because they don't pay me, they don't necessarily hold themselves accountable, and I'm okay with that too. That's the tricky part. And they say, oh yeah, I want to lose some weight, and then they're just not serious about it. They just make that comment because I'm a trainer. And then sometimes it's a public commitment. Tell your friends, family, social media to kind of hold you accountable, especially social media. Ironically, that's why I've been very accountable to this podcast. There's times I don't want to do this. There's days, there's weeks. I just want to kind of lay on the couch and do nothing. But it's in the plan. It's in the purpose. We've been almost 2 years of recording. And yeah, it's not nearly as growth as what I thought it would be. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop, because guess what? We're going to be in 2 years. We're going to be better than now. In 8 years, maybe I'll be famous. Who knows? So whether you want to lose 20 pounds, hit a certain deadlift, put the pressure out there. And maybe that commitment can look like, I'm going to sign up for a marathon. That's why people do that. I wouldn't recommend, quote unquote, a marathon. Maybe it's a 5K. Maybe that's a little bit easier for people to go couch to 5K. Or maybe it's a powerlifting meet or a bodybuilding meet. And that's the commitment that you probably need to get you to where you need to go. And then lastly, this is just a bonus, there's going to be an identity shift. That's kind of the last final layer, like the inner part of that onion, right? The identity shifts happens. Most people view fitness as just temporary punishment that they need to do to achieve a specific look. And it's like, I'm trying to lose weight, right? And the language implies that you're struggling. and you're struggling against your true nature as somebody who isn't wanting to lose the weight, or not wanting, but can't. And when you shift your identity to, I'm just an athlete, I'm just someone who goes to the gym, I just love to work out, that language does ring true, right? If you identify yourself as an athlete, which if you work out, we'll say you're an athlete, you don't necessarily need to debate, well, maybe I should or shouldn't eat healthy breakfast. No, athletes just do that. You feel in your body, right? We don't agonize about going over to the gym. We don't agonize about training. We just simply do it. It's in our identity. That's why I know I'll never fall out of the gym. And so your next move is to realize that willpower is a finite resource. Relying on it solely is not going to get you through your fitness journey. You need to tap out, right? Instead, look at your daily life as a game and you can rig it. Stack the deck in your favor. Start designing the environment that practically forces you to succeed. Build certain routines that help you as well. Surround yourself with people that hold you to a higher standard and change the way you see yourself. Pick one layer, probably start in the beginning, and then work your way down. And then maybe that looks like cleaning out your pantry a little bit, doing an audit of that, setting a wind down alarm, texting a friend to help you come up with a workout plan. And, you just make the right choice today. That is it. I got clients soon. Till next time.